Hello, this is Paul from Receipt Bank. I'm joined today by Lisette Sutherland, who quite literally wrote the book on remote working. Hello to Lisette.
Hello, thanks for inviting me.
Absolute pleasure. Lisette, you have written a book and are an expert on remote working. I know it's something that a lot of people are coming to grips with. In fact, everyone's coming to grips with of late. I just wondered whether you could talk us through your almost daily routine in terms of how that plugs into your work schedule and how you use remote working technology. I know our users would absolutely love to understand a bit more from the expert about how best to do it.
So you mean like what my day looks like and how I use the tools and how I integrate? So I probably have an unusual schedule related to compared to most people. I don't have children, so that also keeps the schedule sort of a little bit more free than what most people have. But in general, after I get up and I read the news, I go into Slack, and because I'm part of several Slack communities, and I pretty much start my day in the communities just to see what's been going on in there, answer any questions that people have, and just get a scan of what's happened overnight. And prior to January, I was actually the remote office manager for an all remote team. And so I would go into that Slack group as well and just see what the team members were up to, say good morning, see how everybody's doing. And then I would actually turn Slack off after I get the general lay of the land and go into email, because emails, I'm a solopreneur, and emails where I really process information. Slack is great for the teams and stuff with communities and things that you want to do just like quick back and forth, but email is generally where I'm working. So my day consists of, in terms of tools, my day consists of Slack and email, lots of Zoom calls, actually lots of video conferencing calls. I'm tool agnostic and that I can use every tool. So it's depending on what the client uses is what I use. Except Skype for Business. I'm particularly not fond of that tool just because so many people have bad experiences with it.
Why is that? Why is that?
The quality of the video quality is usually less good in Skype for Business. And if you're trying to get external people from your organization to join a call, there's usually trouble. Skype is really great for a completely internal team, and if you're video conferencing each other, it's really good. But for external people coming in, it loses something. And in addition, there's some key functionality that I use on a day-to-day basis that Skype for Business does not have, which includes breakout room functionality and some really good whiteboarding functionality. So I think breakout rooms for workshops, meetings, trainings, events, they're key. They're crucial for online interaction, and Skype for Business just doesn't have that. So other than that, I've also, I have a virtual office where I virtually co-work with colleagues. So I actually go into my virtual office and I go into my actual virtual office and it's like a focused room. And then if I'm ready to interact with other people or I need to talk to somebody, I'll just double click on their room and I can go and have coffee with whoever my virtual colleagues are that day. So that's kind of a new one.
And what do you use to create that virtual office, and what is the etiquette around knocking on someone's room to have a chat or have a coffee?
It's very interesting. It's different online. So there are many different virtual offices tools that you can use. There's many on the market. My personal favorite is Sococo, Sococo. And each team establishes their own etiquette. For instance, I will label my room focused if I'm really focused and I really need to be alone. That means that when people see me, that they know I'm focused and don't bother me. Or if I really don't want people to come into my room, I can lock the virtual door. So they're actually not able to get into my room. But there's some protocols. You can virtually knock on somebody's door. So you hear this little like click, 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 click. And it's like, oh, somebody's knocking on my door. I can choose whether or not to let them in. And each room in our virtual co-working space is named for the activity that you're working on. So maybe you're just I'm just hanging out, doing low level work room, and people can come in there and you can chat while you're doing low level work together, or put yourself in the focused room, or there's a phone call room, or I'll be back later. There's like a lunch room, so you can go have lunch with people if you want. So it is, it's surprising actually. Some of these very simple tools can create a tremendous amount of presence. And I think it's changing what the virtual workplace looks like. This whole concept of going into an office every day, it's necessary for some companies. And for others, I say now, especially in the time of the coronavirus, it is definitely time to evolve and see what else is possible for companies out there. Because technology has come a long way in the last 5 years. And if people haven't taken a look at what's available right now in the market, they're going to be pleasantly surprised, I think.
And what about balancing your day? You spoke in yesterday's webinar about locking in time for certain activities, but I guess the other side to that is working out when to start and when to stop and when to socialize within the day and when to take time for yourself. So I wonder if you could comment briefly on both those sides.
One is don't underestimate how difficult it is. Work-life balance is the challenge for remote workers, and because everybody has a different level of what they need. I would say, one, you've got to make agreements with your family. I mean, especially since we're all working from home right now, everybody's at home. The agreements with your family are especially important. And you need to decide, one of the tricks that I use is I visualize my time. So I look at my to-do list and I say, okay, these are the things that I have to get done this month or today or this week. And then I actually put time on the calendar at chunks of time so that I can just see, does everything fit? Like, oh, okay, I think my Money Monday, I do something called Money Monday. So every Monday I run through a checklist of all my things. And especially interesting for your audience, since I'm not at all financially wise or competent, but I run a business. So I've had to learn, like, you have to do it. I've made myself a checklist. And then every Monday I go through my checklist. And I just do Money Monday. So I know Money Monday is going to take about 2 hours. I put that 2-hour chunk on the calendar and so on. And that's how I make sure that I have enough time to do the things I need to do and that I'm not working all the time. Because if I just let things flow, I can just work all the time. And I think most people are like that, especially if you like your job, then it's very difficult to turn off.
I bet. And you were talking yesterday about using visual cues as well as just your face to bring some of these online kind of interactions to life. Now, whether that's your cue cards or whether that's pointing to things on the screen, that's obviously really critical, isn't it?
Visual collaboration is definitely one of you start to use that way as your virtual team matures. So indeed, I've used visual cards like I showed on the, like, oh, you're on mute, because of course if somebody's speaking, everybody's saying you're on mute. So, but it's nicer just to show a card and everybody gets it. Or, maybe in the beginning, like, I can't hear you. Or of course, what ends up happening all the time, there's a package that comes to the door. So you want to just say, like, oh, I'll be right back. But you don't want to verbally interrupt things. So one, it makes things a little bit more fun and playful. And it also allows us to use visual cues that are important, and also our bodies, using cues with our bodies, which is important because online we lose a certain amount, the 3D element, we lose a bit of that. And there's pros and cons to every medium, but I'm a big fan of injecting playfulness and fun into sort of general work days. Because, it's useful and it's also fun somehow. So there was one more thing I was going to speak to on that, which was, it's we're sort of in this remote world. We're experimenting with different ways of expressing ourselves, and that's what these cards are for. That's what we use our bodies for, expressing ourselves. And the same thing has happened with emojis and GIFs. Of course, people are using emojis as ways to express themselves in the written word, or GIFs to show. So using somebody else's body, we are showing what we're doing right now. And so I think that is just something for businesses to keep in mind, is that there's so many different ways we can express ourselves, that not to forget that online, yes, maybe we can't see each other, but there's much more to the 2D world than I think people give it credit for.
Amazing. And I wonder if we can just end with a couple of quick fire questions. So they can be one-word answers,
Okay.
or whatever. What is the last or favorite emoji that you've been using to communicate?
I use this emoji a lot, the one with the rocking hands, like, yeah, rock on. As just I don't know what it is. I think I used to be in music and I used to manage bands, and maybe it comes from those days, but that's the one I like the best.
Amazing. And what's been your absolute favorite tool to enable remote working, like the one you could definitely not live without?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. But okay, I'm going to do something that I haven't mentioned so far, but the other tools, I'm a slavish fangirl. I'm also a slavish fangirl for the tool Loom, Loom. It's a browser plugin, and what it allows me to do is it puts a little video of me on the screen in the corner, but then I can share my screen. And I just like to, because sometimes explaining something in an email, you have to say, like, okay, go to the upper right corner, do this, do that. with a Loom video, I can just show it, send it, and it's gone. And I use it with my assistant like 100 times a day. So way better than just typing out in words, is just show somebody what you're saying. And I actually think that recorded video messages are a great way of communicating in remote work. Like, stop sending the email, either call each other, or just send a video recording.
And last question, have you ever bought virtual donuts for your virtual office colleagues?
No, but I have bought real pizzas and sent them to my office colleagues in other countries, because what people don't remember is you can send a pizza almost anywhere in the world. So if you notice that your colleagues are working the midnight hour and they're really putting it in, just send a pizza. It's such a inexpensive, lovely, playful way of showing appreciation.
That is so lovely. And what a nice colleague you are. What a lovely virtual colleague you are, Lisette. I wish everyone had a virtual colleague like you. Well, look, thank you so much. Really, really valuable information from Lisette Sutherland there. You can find out more about Lisette by visiting her website below, and we hope this has been useful. Thank you.